The grill was new, stainless steel, oversize, unnecessary. My mother stood beside it like she'd built it herself, directing my father about heat levels as though this were a televised competition. The patio furniture had been replaced that week. Crane cushions, glass lanterns, imported flowers I couldn't pronounce. Everything felt intentional. Except me. My sister reclined in the shade, one hand resting theatrically on her stomach. People orbited her gently, carefully. Her pregnancy had turned her into something fragile and ceremonial. Every laugh was softer near her. Every plate carried toward her first. I helped refill drinks. I adjusted a tablecloth that didn't need adjusting. It wasn't resentment at first. Just a familiar invisibility. The kind you stop fighting because no one notices the fight anyway. When the cake came out, 3 tiers, pastel frosting, baby on the way, piped in looping script, I realized something small and stubborn inside me had been waiting. I walked closer, smiling the way I've learned to smile in family photos. "Did you remember my birthday?" I said it lightly, as if it were a shared joke, as if I were teasing. My mother paused mid-step. She blinked at me, not cruelly, just genuinely confused. "Oh," she said, "was that today? This is for your sister's pregnancy." My sister laughed, not maliciously, just amused by the timing. "You always pick dramatic days," she added. "No one meant harm, that was the part that hurt most." No one meant harm, and yet harm lived there anyway. I nodded. I think I even said, "Of course." I'm not sure. My ears had filled with that low, distant hum that comes when you realize you've expected too much again. I walked through the house instead of around it, past framed photos where I am slightly out of focus, past awards on shelves that were moved when the nursery paint samples came in. The tears weren't dramatic. They weren't loud. They were quiet and inconvenient, like a faucet not fully shut. I sat in my car for a long time before driving away. The pattern didn't reveal itself in one memory. It assembled itself slowly over the next few days. My graduation dinner rescheduled because my sister had a migraine. The job offer I accepted years ago, celebrated briefly before becoming an anecdote about how it allowed me to help out at home. The way my savings were spoken about as family security. It wasn't that I wasn't loved. It was that I was useful. There's a difference. 3 days after the barbecue, I signed the final document. The relocation contract had been sitting in my inbox for weeks. An executive position in another city. Higher pay. Autonomy? I'd hesitated because my salary currently covered the mortgage on the house we all lived in. The house was legally mine. I bought it 6 years ago when my parents' credit collapsed and foreclosure loomed. It had never been presented as mine. It was our family home. I paid. They lived. That was the arrangement. Unspoken. Assumed permanent. Until it wasn't. I didn't tell them when I accepted the position. I didn't argue. I didn't bring up my birthday again. I called a realtor instead. The sign went up on a Thursday morning. White post. Clean lettering. For sale. My sister saw it first. She texted me a picture as if it were a mistake. Is this a prank? I drove over that afternoon. No raised voices greeted me, just stunned silence. My mother stood in the driveway holding a folder the realtor had left. My father had that expression men wear when they're calculating numbers too quickly. "You're selling?" my mother asked. I nodded. "I'm relocating for work," I said. My voice surprised me. It was steady, not cold, not angry, just steady. "But this is our home. It's my property," I replied, not sharply, just factually. My sister shifted beside her. "You didn't even tell us." "I didn't think the timing mattered," I said. The sentence landed heavier than I intended. My father opened the folder again, as though different pages might reveal a different reality. "When?" he asked. "Closing could be in 60 days. No one yelled. No one accused. That would have been easier. Instead, they stood there confronted by something procedural and undeniable. My signature, my name on the deed. The neutral authority of contracts and law. For the first time, I wasn't the helpful extension of the family. I was the decision maker, My mother's voice softened. "We would have done something for your birthday." I looked at her carefully. "I know," I said, and I meant it. "They would have. Eventually. After the cake. After the photos." After the attention drifted back from my sister's stomach to the rest of the world. I didn't want eventually anymore. The house moved into shelling phase quickly. Strangers walked through rooms that had held our quiet dynamics for years. They complemented the open kitchen, the backyard grill, the nursery paint samples my sister had chosen. My sister stopped giggling around me. She watched me differently now. Not with warmth, not with hostility. With awareness. Power hadn't arrived dramatically. It hadn't thundered. It had been there all along, disguised as responsibility. I didn't ask them where they would move. They didn't ask me to stay. Some conversations hovered between us, unsaid. On my last evening there, the backyard was empty, the lanterns had been boxed, the grill covered. My mother came outside while I loaded my car. "You could have told us sooner," she said. "I could have," I agreed. She waited for something more, an apology maybe, a reversal. Instead, I closed the trunk. "I didn't want to celebrate my birthday alone next year," I said, "so I decided not to." She didn't respond immediately. For once, she had nothing prepared. I hugged her, not tightly, not distantly. Just enough. There was no dramatic reconciliation. No sudden transformation of family dynamics. My sister would still be the center of attention when the baby arrived. My parents would still orbit urgency, but I would no longer orbit them. As I drove away, I didn't feel victorious. I felt aligned. The barbecue would be remembered as the day they forgot my birthday. I would remember it as the day I stopped waiting for someone else to remember me.